discuss an idea that I had involving EVPs and digital recorders. I use a typical digital recorder on my investigations. I think it's an Olympus WS700M. Records pretty good. I have it set to a pretty high bit rate. The internal microphones are okay. They're a little bit of a hiss with them. So I started thinking about external microphones for EVP gathering evidence. And I realized that these microphones are kind of limited because the separation distance between the left and the right microphone, it looks like it's about maybe an inch, inch and a quarter, and you're not really going to get a good stereo field. So what I did is I bought some inexpensive little microphones from Radio Shack, and they're very simple to use. You put 1.5 volts through a 1000 ohm resistor to them, and I put it on a little adjustable little 2 series of antennas that I can adjust the microphones on, so that I can go to really close, kind of like what's on this digital recorder, to the separation distance that is typically, you know, like from ear to ear on a person. And by doing this, you can get a really wide stereo field. And why is that important? Well, EVPs are pretty known to be equal energy coming in on the digital recorder. And a lot of people think that they don't even use the microphones. The acoustic energy that's in the room from the investigators talking and from the ambient sounds goes into the microphones. But EVPs probably don't even go to the microphones. They bypass it and go right to the analog to digital circuitry. At least that's what some people think. So the advantage of having a big stereo field is that when you're asking your questions during your investigation, if you have a wide stereo field like this, it's going to be really obvious if you get any kind of a response that is acoustic energy in the room, because you're going to notice that it has a very wide stereo field to it. If you get an EVP evidence, the EVPs tend to come in very, very balanced, because they're usually bypassing the microphones. And they come in so balanced that you can kind of recognize them. They're very low, but they're right in the middle of the stereo field. And of course you can use good software like Adobe Audition to analyze these things and to enhance the EVP, because it really is in the center of the stereo field. So on the next investigation, I'll be using this microphone with my digital recorder, and it'll allow me to really analyze EVPs better and eliminate some of the false positive that sometimes happens. So it's just one of my ideas, and if you have any questions, just leave comment in the YouTube comment section, and I'll try and get back to you with some information or help you with your questions that you might have about this idea. One thing you might want to consider is buying an external microphone and just taking it apart and taking the microphone elements and just extending them with wire, shielded wire of course, so that you then can get the same effect that I have right here. So that's an idea. Instead of making a custom mount like I did right here and custom wiring and electronics, you can maybe go that route. It's also important that whatever you decide to build, or whatever external microphone that you use, that you really have some method of securing it or mounting it. So what I always do on all my equipment is I have a 1/4 20 lock nut that I put on some piece of aluminum or something to allow this thing to be mounted down, so that your recorder and this are not able to move around during an investigation. And that's important so that everything is nice and solid and no vibrations and no false audio evidence.